Hey everybody, we're live. Of course, obligatory wait for everything to explode because we're talking about that tonight. Oh hey, Troy made it in first. Makes you wonder where everyone else is. Where's the resident Lord of Chaos? No, like I said, also we got on pretty fast tonight too. I remember the last time we talked about aliens, everything went wrong. right before, you hit the button to turn us on, and it was at that exact moment everything went wrong.
I think the werewolves was the worst, but yeah, aliens was pretty bad.
Werewolves was the one where we actually got taken off the air 3 times.
Yeah, the net crashed 3 times.
Now I know how Art Bell felt. Hi, Mom. Yeah, where is Sean?
Yeah, there's not.
Yeah, no, this is probably one of our fastest startups too. Actually, it's only 7:02. What is it? 7:03. Yeah, it's been a whole 2 minutes.
Yeah, we got 3 people. Hey, Troy.
How's everybody doing?
Hey, Joseph Bishop.
Yeah, where's Mr. Bishop? I guess to be fair, he probably has more important things to worry about right now than the stream. With, trying to build a literal foundation for a house. But hello everyone. Like I said, tonight we're going to be talking more about aliens. So last time we talked about aliens, my face feels all weird now. I don't know what's going on. Last time we talked about aliens, we talked about famous UFO sightings and things like that. Today, we're going to talk about specific kinds of aliens. Oh, yes, actually. Before we get too endeavored in that, so our friend over at Black Lily 1313, do we have the correct email this time?
At gmail.com?
Yeah. The Black Lily 1313 at gmail.com.
Yes.
Yeah. You looked ready to kill me last week.
You gave me 4 different emails.
I know.
Over the course of 2 weeks.
We are so coordinated and organized. So the Black Lily actually sent us another little goodie box. This isn't a mystery curse box thing. This is weird. I know, saying that for my channel. This is what they call a spell box. Now, for those of you familiar with Wicca, witchcraft, things like that, let's just call a spade here. A spell is basically a fancy kind of prayer with a whole lot of ceremony to it. But this is what was this, Mom? A prosperity spell kit? And it's kind of cool because I thought it was just going to be another box of little trinkets and baubles and so on. Oh, hi, Mr. Bishop. No, we were just kind of getting off to a rocky start. But these spell boxes, they are do-it-yourself kits for the actual doing the spells themselves. Has this really cool pendant. This was handmade. You can tell it's handmade. This damn sure doesn't come from China. Can we get a shot of that? Yeah, really cool. I like how it's kind of shaped like an elder sign. I know it's a pentagram. Pentagram is the good one. Pentacle is the bad one. But yeah, I'll have to do this later. It's got a bunch of neat little stuff. And like I said, it's not a thematic kit. It's an actual how to perform the prayer and the spell. It's weird how people get so offended with that. Because I've made that mistake on social media. And there's always somebody that's it's not a prayer, it's a spell. It's it's the same thing. It's still putting positive energy, or negative, I guess, if you're doing a bad spell or a bad prayer. It's one of those things. It's the thought that counts. Plus, if you like witchcraft or the occult or strange things like this, it's yet another really cool thing that you can get from our friends over at Black Lily. I was kind of scared because I saw how small the box was. But it's because it's not like a box of trinkets. It's actually to do the ritual. Might have to try that later. There you go. There's something to do on the Halloween episode. An actual witch's prayer. There's like 3 Christians in our stream just like, that's not funny. I'm sorry. Look, from an atheist who's just looking in from the outside, I see no difference between putting oil on your forehead and reciting the rosary prayer versus, configuring stones and sticks in a certain pattern and, wishing for prosperity. It's the same. It's positive thought. You know what I mean? And that actually will become important later on. I'm glad that we got this today. Because again, I'm not crazy. It might even be a conspiracy, but it will make sense. I promise you. Stay with me to the end of the show. It will make sense. Yeah, it is a prosperity spell. Okay, cool. Anyway, now that I've offended everybody, as is the tradition, we won't say the line because that line's not cool anymore. But no, we're going to talk about aliens today. And specifically different kinds of aliens, specifically. Now, before we start, even my dad agrees with me, and he's usually the one who's argumentative about this stuff. Yeah, a spell is basically a prayer. I mean, it's kind of more elaborate than most what's considered a prayer usually. Prayers are usually I guess prayers are more like meditation in a weird way. I've seen people who do that, who will pray as a form of meditation, as opposed to spells are more of a ritual and there's things you do and stuff. What's that joke? Christians go to church to go with God. Catholics go to church for exercise. Because that's the Catholics who are always jumping out of the pews and praying and getting up and stuff like. Is that Catholics?
That's Pentecostal, I think.
Pentecostal. Pentecostal or Pentecostal?
Pentecostal.
Pentecostal. Okay.
Yeah. The worship dance. Yeah.
Mr. Bishop's like, not me. You don't exercise, Mr. Bishop? If you can't get the potion out of the bottle, you can leave it in the candles. Right, yeah. It's cool because it does include instructions for how to do it. Oh, yes, the Black Lily. She doesn't have a web page. She has a Facebook, which is the Black Lily 1313. I'm not sure how you share links from Facebook. I suck at this whole social media thing. I'm sorry, okay? Y'all are just going to be disappointed in me. They don't have to be ritualistic, but yeah. Anyway, though, don't worry. The bishop is trying to get that link. They do have a Facebook page. They have a Gmail that you can also go to.
It's not letting me in. I've not been on Facebook since 2019.
See, the thing is, the only way I can get on is on my phone, and I don't know how to transfer stuff over. But anyway, there's a Facebook page. You can find them pretty easy. A search probably would, bring you to them. But they have an email, blacklily1313@gmail.com. Personally, I'm not a big fan of social media, so if I was going to... There you go. He gets plenty of exercise. Mr. Bishop gets exercise walking around his property. By the way, I heard that you, Mr. Bishop, I heard you actually broke ground for the making the foundation for your new home, which is awesome. I'm just going to point out, I've never seen the Open Eyes and Sean in the same place at the same time. But it's great to see you here, not Sean. I think I heard something to the effect that Sean wasn't feeling well, actually, so he might not be here.
Yeah, that's kind of going around everywhere.
Yeah, I hate to pass the buck here. Mom or Dad, do you have the link to your Facebook page that maybe you could share up? Because apparently some people have had trouble actually finding you guys on Facebook. That's why I just say use the email. Just contact her through the email. I think they still have like, I want to say they have like 3 or 4 of the curse boxes still, and they have a couple of these spells. I really like this little pentacle. Mainly because I'm a nerd and it reminds me of an elder sign, but we might have to integrate this into the Vagrant's costume, give him like a little badge.
I like the idea of doing it on Halloween.
Yeah.
I got the day off, but
I'm just not going to work. Them. Oh yeah, that reminds me. Speaking of work, actually, I actually got a job at Spirit of Halloween this week. Which, by the way, yep, they are open. They were open like last month, actually. I didn't even realize that. I love. Oh yeah, no, they gave me this hat. They gave me this hat. And it's basically my uniform. I wear this hat instead of having my bald ass head out everywhere. But yeah, no. So if you love to find year-round decorations for your house, Spirit is open. Don't be caught sleeping on this, because I didn't realize they opened back in freaking January, or not January.
Late August, probably.
Yeah,
I mean, Spirit has like year-round stores, but they're very rare. I take it.
Yeah.
Also, what's their actual name? Spirit Halloween Superstore?
I think so. Yeah, Spirit of Halloween, I think, is the actual like full title. Because they also have the oh god, what's their charity called? Spirit of Children. It's either Spirit of Children or Children of Halloween, and it's a charity organization. Oh yeah, no, Troy, you have no idea how badly I have to resist the urges to just like take stuff off the shelves, and just like hold those in back for myself later. And in fact, actually, Mr. Bishop, keep in mind, Mr. Bishop, Spirit is where I got my doggos, so you might want to go check out Spirit and see if they have an undead dog for you. Adopt. Always adopt. Don't shop.
Spirit there.
Yeah, there it is. Spirit of Halloween. There's a website for him.
Yeah, my dad just asked. Yeah.
I have to ask, your dad, Mr. Bishop, you do know what Spirit Halloween store is, right?
See, they have them in Oregon. They have them here. I don't know what all states.
I thought they were everywhere. Like, anytime a building becomes...
They buy up rent out vacant buildings for like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah. And then they're usually gone by like, November 5th or 6th.
But then again, Missouri only has like 3 big cities, and I think they only do big cities.
Like I said, I'm not sure. You might have to look that up, though. The Black Lily also has small coffins. I mean, there's never there's always a good reason to have a little coffin. Adopt, don't chop. Okay, so... Wow, we are 16 minutes into the show, and I have not talked about aliens at all yet. Adopt, don't shop refers to adopt animals out of shelters. Don't just buy from breeders, because a lot of breeders, well, not a lot, but there are breeders who are very unethical in how they keep their animals until they sell them, which is referred to as a puppy mill. And so adopt, don't shop, or as some people cynically say, adopt, don't chop, is saying don't do business with, puppy mills and people who are unethical. Go to a shelter and save an animal, because most shelters in America euthanize animals if they are at a shelter for too long to keep space open for more animals. which is very similar to what our good friend Jeff, the most terrifying Russian I know, who actually runs his own charity organization, the Ugly Kitten House. But that's a little bit different. Be very careful if you go look it up, because like I said, Jeff is a scary and strange individual.
He has done art for our show.
He has, but he's still a very strange guy, and I can only imagine a lot of people might, see his stuff and, well, it's not exactly quaint.
Art?
Yeah, it's not exactly. It's not exactly PG. How about we put it that way? This is the Facebook link. Should be. I think my dad is trying to share the Black Lily link. Everything froze. Are we okay?
Everything's good on my end. Yeah, no, everything's good over here. Yeah, no, we're good.
Yeah? No? I think my computer literally just sneezed.
I think that would have to be your computer. Everything's running good over here.
As long as everything's okay. You know what's kind of funny is I kind of figured tonight would be more of a... More just, talking to the chat, laid back, not super big. Well, aliens are a fun topic. Everyone likes aliens. The world's noisiest burger over there. Yeah, I can't... The chat is not budging. Well, you know what?
Talking.
No one's saying it? Okay.
The last thing is, this is the FB link, should be from Chester Roach.
Okay, well, let's actually get on to what the show is about tonight. 20 minutes in. Aliens. And I feel bad that Sean's not here. Because, he just loves the topic of ancient aliens.
That's his favorite show.
Oh yeah, he loves that so damn much. And apparently he's at the store right now, so hopefully he can actually get back in time for some of the show.
John.
Is he like an evil spirit? You gotta say his name 3 times. I don't know.
You can try.
Yeah. Sean. Hey! Ow! Oh no!
No!
Oh no! You bent your little antenna! Choopy, everybody. Where do we put you? Yeah, I'm gonna have you hide over here.
Wait, you might want to fix that. They might read his brainwave.
Yeah. There you go, buddy. Totally doesn't look like something else. It's an antenna. Can you do that?
You have this. You can share the link. We just don't have the link.
How do you give? I'm not sure. Yeah.
Tell Chester Roach, the Vagrant's Horror, to give you moderator rights to share the link.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that. Hold on a second here. I'm clicking something, I don't know what I just did.
So when you go to your channel, there's going to be... No, hold on, where is it?
Yeah,
In the pop-out chat on the right, there's a thing where you can make somebody a moderator.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Dad, send me the link on my phone and I'll put it up. And I'll put it in the chat. Yeah, Dad, no, send me the link to my phone and I can put it on the chat for you. That seems like the easiest solution right now.
Yeah, they're
Yeah, we'll worry about that moderation stuff later when we can actually lift up the hood and stuff. In the meantime, though. Waiting for that link. So, aliens. Now, again, we're talking specifically about different kinds of aliens tonight. I mean, to be fair, there's stories of, people from the stars and all kinds of stuff, like, as far back as humanity goes, obviously. But probably one of the most well-known, the alien that everybody pictures in their head when they think of it, some people incorrectly call them little green men, which is kind of funny, because they're known by their color. They are referred to as the Gray, or the Greys. Now, what most people don't really know about them is that there's two variations to them, actually. There's two kinds of gray. There are tall and short ones. Now, most stories claim that the tall ones are kind of subservient. Some people claim that they are actually hybrids. And I'll explain more in a minute. But the important thing right now is that it's the little guys, the short ones, they're the ones in power. They're the ones that are in control. They are supposedly very powerful telepaths. In fact, there's even some theory that they need their telepathic power to survive, because their head is so big compared to their very meek body. They have almost no muscle. They almost have no muscle mass at all. But they need to use telepathic power to hold their own head up, because by itself, the weight of their head would literally break their neck. Which sounds like a really... What happens if they get drunk? I literally now just thought about that. Like, okay, if they need to hold their head up with their own thoughts, and suddenly they become inebriated. I've heard of breakneck drunk, but holy cow. Is the chat working again? For me? Oh, yeah, there. Everybody's talking now.
Yeah, I got a text that a comment was eaten and didn't come up, so maybe the chat did freeze. Or
Alright, I'm going to try and share this link. Did that work?
yes.
It worked! Hey, there we go. There we go. Alright, what are we doing? Oh, hi, Sean. There we go. See, it worked. We said his name 3 times. Anyway, though. So the Greys are extremely powerful mentally, but very weak physically. They have, no muscle mass. A lot of stories kind of contradict, saying they have either 3 fingers and a thumb, or just 2 fingers and a thumb. They don't have a hand like we are. Their hands are much smaller than ours, is what I'm trying to say. A lot of stories say that they do have mouths, but they don't speak verbally. They can't talk like we can. We have vocal cords, and we take air into our lungs and push the air back out over those vocal cords, and we create sound. And that's what we call talking. They cannot do that. I've heard some people argue that they don't breathe, and that's the problem. I've heard other people say they don't have vocal cords. I'm not sure, but the point is that they speak telepathically. They put words in your head. They were very common throughout the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Specifically for doing one very peculiar thing. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off now while Sean's not here to make us regret it. The Greys were the source of the jokes about anal probing. But here's the sad part. There's actually a good reason behind it. Not that I want that. I'm saying they're not perverts. They're not harvesting farts. These creatures, basically, they can't reproduce. They survive by cloning themselves. And instead of just making a perfect copy of themselves, what they do is they tweak with the DNA to make the next gray slightly different. And that's basically their version of procreation. The problem is that the more you use DNA to clone, the weaker and more damaged that original DNA source will become. And so you need filler. You need some kind of genetic material to repair the original DNA. And here's the funny thing about humans. Supposedly, we are universal breeders. I don't know why. I'm not sure quite how this happened. I've heard a lot of different theories about, where humans come from and how Earth was actually planted, for genetic material and things like that, blah, blah, blah. One way or another, the point is, and this is going to just sound gross, so there's no way to say it another way, human semen is extremely valuable to the Greys because they can use that to repair their genetic structuring for cloning. I'll give everybody a moment to just cringe in horror. But yeah.
What?
Because you ever notice that? You ever notice? It's never women. It was never women who talked about being anally probed by aliens. It was always men. Well, here's the funny thing. There's a very specific nerve in the male colon that causes certain very odd, unpleasant things to happen that are quite useful if you're trying to get human semen. Anyone who's had trouble at a sperm bank knows exactly what I'm talking about. I can already hear people making jokes like, how do you know about this? I looked it the hell up, okay? Not letting nothing near my ass. I don't know about you guys. The Greys can go extinct for all I care. I'm so glad they can't see you, Bishop. Your dad's in the chat, for crying out loud, man. Have some decency.
Just chowing down on a Whopper.
The loudest whopper in the history of all mankind. Poop DNA. The sad thing is actually there is you can actually study excrements. That's, oh god, who was it? There was a whole big scandal. Who was the Russian president before Putin?
Some guy, and then before that guy it was Putin.
No, I mean before the first time Putin became president.
Medvedev? No, it wasn't Medvedev. Who was?
I don't know, but I remember that they said he was in poor health, and supposedly that was because they actually checked his stool samples. And they realized he was sick, and so they started preparing for Putin to take his place. We are just getting off topic so much tonight, but that's okay. That's okay.
It's Putin. Before Putin, it was some guy for like a year, then it was Putin, then...
Yeah, but I'm saying the first...
I think it was Medvedev.
Maybe it was Medvedev. I'm not sure, but either way, I know that, the ghost story goes that Putin's original... the first time Putin became president, the guy he followed, that he took power from, they started working to get him out because they found out that he was dying. And supposedly they did it by checking his stool samples. So the sad thing is that there actually is, scientifically speaking, there is something to be gained from studying excrement. Not that I want to, but that is a thing.
Oh, Boris Yeltsin.
Yeltsin? Was that Yeltsin?
Was between Putin and Putin. Anyway.
Excuse me, it's not a nerve, it's a prostate, according to my dad.
Oh, yeah, it's prostate.
Known as milking the prostate. Anyway, though. But that's actually why they do that. Now, some people, especially in the 90s, they were like, I want to be abducted. I want to be abducted, I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off and explain this. No, you don't. Now, I want to point out, the Greys are not known as being hostile to humans. In fact, actually, they're quite scared of us. And again, I'll explain why later. But the problem is that a lot of people claim that they are what we would call sociopaths. Now, what that means is that they either do not, or have a very hard time at least, having emotional responses. They don't have emotion, basically. They are a creature of pure logic, cause and effect, you know, action, reaction. Because of this, they do not have the parameters that we do. We have ethics and morality and things like that. But when you take a cold-hearted look at it, that's because of our emotions. What's really wrong about unethical behavior? You wouldn't want it done to you, right? You know what I mean? It's the same with morality. What is moral? Well, I mean, the things you would want done to yourself, the things you wouldn't want done to someone else. They don't have these concepts, and because of that, they can be very brutal. Their abductions are not pleasant. They are often described as being very blunt. It's kind of funny. I've even heard some people say that despite their intelligence, and they are extremely intelligent, they're kind of crude, because things like comfort and safety don't factor into their calculations. They just think about results. They want the end result. That's it. They want your semen to patch up their genetic coding. That's it. Your comfort and, in some cases, your compliance have nothing to do with it at all. There are also stories that they have some people that they favor. They use their alien technology to just beam a few $1 million or whatever the hell into your bank account. And there's stories of people who made deals with the Greys and pacts and so on. Like I said, most people who have actually encountered them will tell you, you do not want to cross these creatures. Again, not because they're particularly evil or cruel. It's that they don't understand this concept of, that hurts, please stop hurting me. The pain you feel is not a part of their experiment, so they don't care. They just want the genetic coding. I've heard some people say that they also will, especially earlier, like in the 60s, they would kidnap people for like interrogations and interviews. But these are a bit more rare, at least for the Greys. There is another type of alien who loves to do these kind of abductions, even still today, supposedly. There are stories about them having very strange technology that's very glowy and bright. Like, there's always a story of like, oh, I saw them, but they were silhouettes in this bright light. I'm not sure what that is. I've heard some people claim that they actually use those bright lights to hide themselves so that you can't give a detailed analysis of what you saw, Of course, there's the infamous Men in Black neuralizer, a device that supposedly can just erase the last few hours of your memory. But I mean, that'd be silly, right? Every person who's ever walked into a kitchen and wondered, what was I doing, is now kind of freaked out. What happened to the stream? Are you back?
No, I was just saying that, when I was setting up for the show, I might have been neuralized several times because I was walking into the hall. What am I doing?
You were doing... I don't understand what the hell happened to you today, dude. I'm sorry, I know you guys probably don't care, but no. Last time we talked about aliens, everything started breaking down just when we started the show. Today, when we're talking about aliens, the bishop started breaking down just before the show. Like, he was wandering around, confused and dazed.
Yeah.
Whopper. Anyway, though, I'll give everyone a moment to recover from seeing that horrifying face.
Ouch. At least I have a Whopper to cover me.
They're scared of us because we can hold up our own heads. What does it take to cremate a whale?
Circumcise a whale.
my dad trying to outdo comments I can't say with Sean. Anyway, though. But, like I said, there are actually several different aliens that we've supposedly encountered, according to people who have been abducted and whistleblowers, which, by the way, I wanted to bring up something real quick. I think I stumbled upon a conspiracy. Don't look at me like that, I'm not joking. I remember the first time I was doing research for our show about aliens, I found this really cool flow chart of how aliens are depicted across the decades. I wish I had saved it back then, but I didn't. So I tried to find it just a few days ago on the internet. And any kind of search you do about aliens or UFOs or anything, it is buried, and I mean buried, under all this stuff from Mexico. I don't know, man. I'm starting to think that they are burying stuff. You know, they don't want you to see this. They don't want you to know about the actual aliens. They want you to see these ridiculous-looking raisin mummy things from Mexico. I'm just saying, it's like, the easier the information is to find, the more likely it is to be BS.
I said something interesting.
We have... Yeah, that's a good point, Troy. I want to point out, and I know this is exactly what one would say, I am not a federal agent. I am not affiliated with the United States government. I don't even pay taxes. Actually, that's not true. I do. I just don't file because cute. Anyway. Anyway. But no, that's a theory. Some people have been saying that, like, you know, people talk about aliens when they don't want to talk about politics.
And who's everybody scared of right now?
Everyone, yeah, they're scared of, you know, we're worried about wars in Europe, and then a guy who we've mentioned like 6 times now, Putin, and
that horrible orange man.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, I hope he don't get us.
That scary orange man. You know, and basically, if they can't talk about politics, they'll try to talk about aliens. Because to be fair, at the same time that the Red Scare, the commie scare was spiking, what else was spiking? Talking about UFOs. UFO sightings. Hell, weren't there like reports that there were UFOs over the White House in like the 60s? Was that the 60s? Going to the 70s? Like right when we were starting to get like really, you know, like when Korea and Vietnam, because, you know, we got to go fight those communists over there, you know? Yeah, suddenly there's UFOs over the I guarantee, like, one of our dads is going to be like, oh yeah, I know about that incident when I remember this. There were newspaper articles and stuff saying that there were UFOs over the White House.
I want to say that's happened several times. Pay no attention to Russia or that orange man behind the curtain. Look, UFOs.
Oh yeah. No, look at these freeze-dried mummies that are totally aliens from Mexico. I'm not talking about those guys. I wanted that flow chart that showed how aliens have been depicted, you know, over the decades.
Yeah, July 12th to 29th, 1952.
52.
A series of unidentified flying objects, UFO sightings, were reported in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
The Washington Flap is what it was called.
The Washington Flap. Yeah. Something like that. Am I right, guys? Anyway,
1952, yeah, when the Cold War was basically starting a few years after the war.
Yeah, the Cold War, America's increased interest in communist activities. Yeah. When politics aren't going well, the conspiracy theory is that they talk about aliens. Talk about aliens because they don't want to talk about how the Cold War was actually going to be a really bad thing. Talk about aliens because actually Korea is not going so well. Talk about aliens because Vietnam's not going so well. Talk about aliens because Ukraine's not going so well. You know. Now I want to point something out. That doesn't mean there aren't aliens. I'm saying that there is a correlation between things going poorly for the U.S. government. Imagine that, right? And suddenly we're going to talk about aliens. It's, and I have a theory about that. It's because they're so arrogant that they'd rather talk about aliens than admit that they screwed the pooch. That poor dog. Anyway, though. Another very common type of alien, although this one has actually diminished. This one was much more prevalent actually in like the 50s and 60s and so on. Hey, yeah, where is Connie? I haven't seen her tonight. Hopefully she's okay. Feds. Hey, look over there. Oh shit, did we lose it again? What's going on? Hold on. Every now and then, just randomly, it seems like it just messes up. I don't understand what's going on. Anyway, though, this kind of alien that we're going to talk about next has drastically declined in sightings. Interestingly enough, it declined as the Greys started to increase, which is interesting because supposedly the Greys are not on good terms with this kind of alien. Some people call them the mantids, or insectoids. They are described as being literally a somewhere between 7 to 10 foot long praying mantis. Which, by the way, am I the only one who thinks that sounds way more terrifying than a xenomorph? Am I the only one that would rather face down a xenomorph than a 10 foot long praying mantis? National warnings today? Wait, what? Hold on, Mr. Bishop. What? National warnings?
The test.
Oh, I got, yeah, it was like an Amber Alert thing.
I got a test.
Yeah, I got a test too. I honestly thought it was an Amber Alert. Yeah, that was kind of weird. But anyway, we'll get to the mantids real quick. The mantids are very strange. Like I said, they were much more common in the 50s and actually going farther back. And we actually have to have a very uncomfortable discussion, in fact, actually, because the mantids were involved in something very, very bad. But they are described as being too beautiful. I know this is weird, but everyone who's encountered them claimed that they're beautiful, but they're the wrong kind of beautiful. They seem fake, almost like they're hypnotic. There's some kind of a trigger warning inside of us when we see them. We think they're dangerous because it's almost like it looks like they're trying to lure you. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense? They are described as, like I said, being between 7-10 foot long mantises. I don't know who would look at a 7 to 10 foot long praying mantis and think, wow, it's so beautiful. No, that looks like something that's going to rip your damn head off. But supposedly they coat themselves in this shimmering oil. So they kind of look holographic. Excuse me. Sometimes they're described wearing robes or gowns. Which I don't know why. I feel maybe it'd be different if I actually encountered one. But for me personally, when I hear this, it just doesn't add up. It's like, wait, hold on. So they're so beautiful, they're scary. Because it seems like they're trying to trick you or something. And sometimes they wear robes or gowns. And all I could picture is like a praying mantis in like one of those old ghost sheet costumes, you know? And I just started snickering over it because it seemed so ridiculous. Like a praying mantis in a dress. I don't know. Talk about a dress with a train, right? I I don't know. But anyway, these creatures are described as being very friendly, actually. They're very diplomatic and they're reassuring. Some stories say they have jewelry that they'll wear. And some people even go so far claiming that their clothes and jewelry actually distinguish their rank within their own society. Basically, the more important they are, the more they have on, and the less ranked they are in their society, the more naked they can be. But their society is very, very authoritative. They're also described as being very religious, very spiritual. They have a sort of perfect natural order religion that believes that all life, every species, every creature, everything that is alive, has a very specific purpose and role to fill within the galaxy. Coincidentally, their position, their purpose in the universe is to be a god race that everyone else serves and falls in line with. Convenient how that works out, am I right, guys? By the way, there's a perfect, inscrutable order to the universe that says, I'm in charge. I remember my grandfather actually talked about the mantids a little bit to me. He said, you should always be cautious around people who say they can talk for God. But absolutely do not trust someone who says they are God. But supposedly they're great diplomats. They're very friendly when they talk to us. They're not hostile, but a lot of people say they're not hostile. They're not aggressive. They're manipulative. They don't talk to you as an equal or as a friend. They speak to you because they want something. They want something from you, or they want you to do something. Some stories say that their society has slavery, which falls into their religion. Certain races just exist to serve other races. I disagree with that personally. I'm an individualist. I don't think there is such a thing as preordained anything.
Star Wars fans know them as the Huck.
The Huck.
The Huck. H-U-K.
H-U-K.
General Grievous fought him.
Ah.
That's why I hated the Jedi. The Jedi sided with the Huck.
Oh, okay. See, I like Grievous. I think Grievous was cool.
Grievous was cool. Yeah, that was the Huck War.
The Huck War.
General Grievous's people fought the Huck.
Everybody's talking now. Hold on a second. National News. Reptiles. I'll get to that. Don't worry. We're going to talk about the reptiles a little bit. Hi, Sean. Welcome to the party.
Hi, Sean.
They must be females. I've heard stories that I've heard some stories say that they're that they are a what's the term? Matriarchy? Yeah, because patriarchy is males in charge, females are matriarchy.
Yeah.
I've heard some people say that they are a matriarchy. Intergalactic Jehovah Witnesses. Kind of, yeah. I don't know which. To be fair, I've only met like probably 3 Jehovah Witnesses in my life, and I probably mentally scarred one of them. Well, they walk in pairs, but you know what I mean. Like I've only had 3 encounters with them, and one of them, this was in Louisiana. I was home alone, and that's why I did this. By the way, I hope Tara and JR aren't in the chat because I was in their home when I did this. A pair of Jehovah's Witnesses came, and I literally invited them inside, and I started talking to them, and I completely played along like, oh yeah, no, I've heard the joyous news. Absolutely. No, I know, I received the word. I'm just waiting for the black sun to dawn. And I just completely talked to them, answering all their questions, like in character of like a cultist of Prince Razov. And I just confused the hell out of them. And they actually got like, it got really uncomfortable for them. They were actually like, we probably should get moving on. We do have, we have lots of houses still to go on the block. It's like, oh, that's okay. No, actually, there is some, can you just wait here while I go in the kitchen real quick? I totally was going to scare the crap out of them with a knife. But they were already gone. They just got the hell out of there. And it's funny because I thought back to it, I was like, JR would kill me if he found out that I invited strangers into his home while he was gone. So I didn't tell anyone. I literally kept that a secret, that I scared the crap out of them. Totally going like full cultist mode. And yes, for the record, I was totally going to walk back into that room with a knife and scare the shit out of them. But for the record, I was just playing with them. I wasn't going to hurt them. You know what? If you walk up to someone's door, you are officially subject to their rules, okay?
You're going to be up tonight at like 3 a.m. You're going to get a tap at the door. You're going to open. It's going to be 2 mantids. It's like, have you heard the good news? Let us come in.
No. No. See, that's the funny thing is, because again, my grandfather talked about the aliens all the damn time. He was a huge conspiracy theorist. But what's funny is he always said between the two of them, because they're opposed to each other. The Greys and the Mantids don't like each other. They're actually kind of, I wouldn't say enemies, because there's political stuff involved with them. But they're not on good terms, and they don't like each other. But he always said if you had to pick one, the Greys are better. Because again, the Greys don't have deception. Because again, they don't have any emotion. They just tell you exactly what's going to happen. They tell you straight up, I want to anally probe you to harvest semen from you. That's it. It'll be painful because they don't care if it's comfortable or not, but they aren't going to lie. They're honest. The mantids, my grandfather said, a mantid will tell you anything that it thinks you want to hear to get you to do what it wants to do. They're very manipulative. Again, they're not evil per se.
So they're politicians?
Worse than that, they're spiritual politicians. Because remember, it's all about their religion, their perfect order. That's the center of their whole society, is this idea that everyone falls exactly into place like a Tetris game. And they want you to take your specific place. According to them. Wait, I scared some Jehovah's Witnesses off by actually citing scripture better than they did, correcting them a few times and helping them find the passages they were looking for. Yep, there you go. No, Open Eyes is correct. Troy is officially a higher level cleric than a Jehovah's Witness. What's funny is I remember when I played D&D, I actually like clerics. I think they're kind of unfairly treated. Warlocks are still the best class in D&D. Shut up, fighters. But no, I like clerics. They're fun. Don't look at me like that. I'm not crazy. Anyway, though. But, now, the Mantids, like I said, they have declined in their interactions with humans. Troy's like, is that a compliment? Anyway. Now, a lot of people said that they have declined in their Someone noisy out there in the desert tonight.
Just putting a paper bag on my head because I'm so ugly.
Oh, hey, Hissenberg. Here. I was wondering where you were. Hissenberg. Anyway. Are you trying to tell me your mom's some... Oh, come on. She's not that bad. Bishop, where's your hat?
No, I was going to put a paper bag on my head and I lost my tinfoil hat.
You know, you need the tinfoil hat. You've been acting weird all goddamn day.
No.
Yes, you have. Anyway, back to my point. It happened again. What the hell's going on? What the hell was that?
I've been acting weird.
Excuse me. My computer keeps like having these weird hiccups. It's weird. Anyway. No, everything's stable. Anyway, though. Now, anyway, the mantids, like I said, they have declined in their appearances. There's fewer and fewer stories of people interacting with them. And we'll get the unpleasantries out of the way. Who's ready to hear it? It's because of World War II. People do not realize just how... World War II did not just change Earth, it actually changed our standing in the galaxy. Because, see, here's the thing. There is an alliance, or a federation, whatever you want to call it. There is a coalition, a confederacy, whatever you want to call it. There is a group of various star systems, solar systems, that all are kind of under an alliance, that have very specific rules about how you can and can't join, things like that. Now, it should be pointed out that this, again, some people call it the Alliance, some people call it the Federation. My grandpa called it the Federation. But either way, it has this kind of loose-fitting rule that basically, inside your atmosphere, your laws apply. So, for example, if one race... in their society, they have slavery, for example. Even though the Federation doesn't have slavery, within their planet, they're allowed to have slaves. This is important because a lot of stories claim that sometimes mantids will actually be accompanied by greys who are enslaved to them. Because again, remember, the greys and the mantids don't like each other, because they're kind of polar opposites if you think about it. The greys have no emotion, and... the mantids' entire civilization, their entire existence is built around this religion, this spirituality that they have. So they're kind of the opposite of each other. And so they'll fight and they'll take slaves and so on. And basically they hide behind this rule of, well, I'm inside my atmosphere, so I can have it. I can do this. I can do this to you because we're not in open space. Now, supposedly... around the time of World War I, World War II, well, mostly World War I, the Federation believed that humans were this close. We were right here. We were so close to making the qualifications to join the Federation. I've heard some people say it has to do with certain types of engines, hyperdrive, things like that. But either way, we were supposedly right here, guys. And the Greys and the Mantids both... some people say they're our neighbors, that they're the two closest solar systems to us, and that's why we saw them so often before. But they both were like, well, I want the new kid to sit at my lunch table. I want this new kid to be my friend. Again, because remember, they hate each other's freaking guts. So even the Greys, who are more or less emotionless, are like, well, we don't want the Mantids to have a new friend. And we could use a new friend. Like, when do you not need a friend, right? And the Mantids are like, well, no, we need to get them into our order. Now, the problem is that when a species is not part of the Federation, you can't touch them. You have to step back and let them be themselves and learn their lessons on their own. You're not supposed to interfere. Roddenberry mentioned something similar to this in Star Trek with the, what was it called? The Prime Directive, I think is the term they used.
Yes.
The laws that they had to adhere to that were including don't get involved, things like that.
The Prime Directive, yeah.
Chet could probably tell us more. He's a huge Star Trek fan. But anyway, well, supposedly the Greys and the Mantids broke this rule. And here's the thing that gets disturbing. Supposedly the Greys met up with a certain Austrian military veteran. I'm not joking. The Greys helped the Nazis. I know everybody is like, wait, what? Yes, we are going that far into the what the hell zone. I mean, and supposedly the Greys helped the Nazis because they thought that Jewish or Hebrew was the world's religion. And if we're really spiritual people, well, that means we'll be more in kin with the Mantids, won't it? Even though I don't know how well the Abrahamic religions would coincide with the Mantids. I mean, I'm pretty sure the Bible, the Torah, and the Quran all say something about not having other gods. And the Mantids say that they're gods. So I'm not sure how well that alliance would work out. But either way, the Greys basically helped the Nazis with the Holocaust because they wanted to weaken the spiritual presence of humanity, because they were afraid that would be a bridge to become friends with the Mantids. Meanwhile, the Mantids supposedly had a base in the Arctic Circle that was discovered by a U.S. pilot, and they started working with the U.S. government. There's people, I'm not looking at the chat right now, but I guarantee there's people who are like, what are you smoking, Kristoff? I am sober. I swear to you, I am completely sober. I am telling you stories that I have heard myself. The Greys were helping the Nazis, and the Mantids were helping the United States. Now, the problem is, the Mantids basically helped us with what we know as the Manhattan Project. Basically, they wanted to give us nuclear power to push us over the goalposts so we could get the correct kind of engines and fuel sources and so on to qualify as being part of the Federation. And then we took that information and we made a couple bombs. And here's the funny thing. Here's the thing that makes me doubt this story. Because the Holocaust, they were fine with. The Greys were fine with the Holocaust. We dropped the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And that was like when everything hit the brakes. Like, stop. I have to say, I'm pretty sure more people were killed in the Holocaust than the bombs. Like, a lot more.
Yeah, by millions.
Yeah, but for some reasons, it was Hiroshima and Nagasaki that made everybody else in the galaxy, including one very specific group that we're going to talk about in a minute here. Everybody stopped and just stared in horror at what we had done. Because here's the thing. We have countries. We have states. We have religions. All these things. The Federation doesn't see it that way. You're not a Christian. You're an Earthling. You're not a Wiccan. You're an Earthling. You're not a New Yorker. You're an Earthling. It doesn't matter where you're from or your religion. It's, again, because remember, their laws are based around in your atmosphere, on your planet. You are where you're from. It doesn't matter about countries and religions and stuff like that. And the fact that we would carry out such an atrocity, especially with technology that was supposed to help us get into the stars, made the Federation just tremble in horror. They were disgusted by us. We are their monsters. It's funny because we have so many movies about killer aliens and stuff like that. Guess what? They have movies about killer humans. We are these savage, primitive, monstrous creatures who occupy their nightmares and their horror stories. Because we are so feral, so vicious, so underdeveloped, that when handed the means to travel between stars, we just massacred each other. One analogy I heard was, from their perspective, imagine if you heard that the president ordered a nuclear strike on Detroit. That's what the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki was. That's how they saw it. It was monstrous, and so they blacklisted us. They said, no, humanity cannot be interacted with. It's far too dangerous. That's why, supposedly, a lot of excuse me, a lot of UFO sightings that you hear talking about modernly, there's no aliens in those. Those are unmanned drones that are just monitoring us, making sure that we can't get off this planet, because humans actually gaining, in their opinion, humans gaining travel between stars, being able to move to another solar system, would be like the black gates of Mordor opening. We are their nightmares. We are their monsters. They are. So here's the thing. If you ever feel bad about yourself, just remember, you would be an absolute terror to an alien. You are horrifying. You are monstrous. They check under their damn beds at night for you. Be like, oh no, Joseph!
Boo.
You know, they say that the Greys have no genitalia. I wonder, can you still make a Grey wet themselves? Because again, supposedly they're that scared of it. They are sincerely terrified of us. We are we're monsters to them. You know how they have D&D stuff where you can have the Greys in your game and things like that. Yeah, they have that for you on their planet. They have their own version of D&D with humans for monsters. See how the chat's going right now.
You mentioned aliens, so Donson's just all over the place.
Oh, yeah. Prime Directive. Yes, it is. Oh, hi, Sean. Welcome back to the party. First rule of the Starfleet against interference with the natural development of planets. Yeah, the Prime Directive. Thank you, Troy. Hitler's time machine. The Glocker? I like the Glock. I like the Glocker. That's a cool urban legend. The
Bell?
Yeah, the Bell. Yeah, the Nazi wonder weapons, I think they called them. They supposedly had time machines, all kinds of stuff. We probably could talk about those things sometime. Alien lore is cool. I wish this shit was real. Well, the Greys are just sore losers.
Hi, Don.
Oppenheimer would really disagree with that. Oppenheimer was a government agent. There, I said it. Troy brings up a good point. It's not so scary that we manipulated each other into trains. It's that we had bombs that we were willing to use on ourselves, so what'll we do to them? You know, that's actually a very good point, why they don't mind the Holocaust, but they're so scared of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. To be fair, Oppenheimer is also kind of insane. He would constantly talk about Indians and the past having nukes. Yeah, he less people died in the two bombs than if we... Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that too, that in a weird way, Hiroshima and Nagasaki actually saved lives. I see the logic.
Japan wouldn't surrender.
Yeah, I see the logic.
Just imagine
it's
if
one of those
America was
things.
invaded, we would never surrender.
No, it would be horrible. But at the same time, it's hard. And maybe this is just my personal ethics involved. It's hard to look at Hiroshima, Nagasaki, the nukes in general, and say that was the good ending. You know what I mean? But I do see it. I understand the logic that in a roundabout way, less people died from it. Troy. I don't know why. Why would you sleep under a bed? I would just get in their bed and be like, "It's mine now, bitch. I'm a human." Oh, what was it? Futurama. I think they had an episode where there was this planet ruled by robots who thought humans had laser vision and super strength and all this weird stuff. And the characters actually got off the planet because they were like, "Stay back or we'll melt you with our heat rays." Ooh! And all the robots freak out and duck for cover. It's kind of... I wonder if that's how it's like. But yeah, supposedly, World War... See, some people say that, the Greys and the Mantids caused World War II. I disagree with that. they may have been involved. That's entirely possible. That actually makes kind of sense, in fact, in a weird way. But there's another alien presence on Earth. And I saw someone in the chat earlier asking about this.
I don't see it. A bug just flew by the green screen. It was like the creepiest, coolest alien thing ever.
I'll take your word for it. I can't really see the video feed. But anyway, real quick, the reptiles. The reptiles are really weird. It's hard to talk about them because their entire existence is... I've heard that, yeah, that they were planning to bomb Tokyo next. But anyway, the reptiles, they're hard to talk about because their entire culture, their entire species is deception. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of people who claim that the reptiles live among us. Basically, the story goes, they lost their planet. They lost their star system. And again, we'll explain why in a little bit here. Gotta save it for that big finale. But they don't have a home world. They live by hiding on other planets. And some people say they have like cloaking devices that can make themselves look like a human, for example. Similar to our good friend Mr. Cold, who still appears all over West Virginia. By the way, stay out of West Virginia. Wish Jeebus was here to hear that. I mean, he's probably falling through a time hole or something. Anyway, though. But other people say that they're actually shapeshifters. They can physically turn into a human. But in either case, they live by deception. They live by hiding amongst other people. So what their culture is, what their stories are, what do they value, we don't know. Because anyone who finds out any substantial information about them disappears. One thing that we do know about them is that they are carnivores. They eat meat. And they don't consider it cannibalism to eat a human. That's what my grandfather always says. Like, if you do encounter one, be careful because there's nothing in their side of the coin that stops them from turning you into the contents of a loose meat sandwich. Don't trust them. And here's the thing. It's not that I'm not saying they're all evil. I've heard some people say that they're actually compulsive liars. They can't be honest. They've survived for so many generations by lying and deception and hiding. They literally don't really know how to be honest anymore. It just comes so natural to them to lie all the time. Oh, the TV show V. I've never seen that, but that was about reptiles, wasn't it? They were reptilian.
I never watched it. I know what it is.
I know. I've heard of it, but I don't know actually. I never saw it myself. I remember it was really controversial because it had that one scene where like the lady shoveled a gerbil into her mouth or something like that. Yeah. I want to say they were reptiles, but I'm not sure actually. Mr. Bishop or my dad probably could tell you, or Troy. But I've never saw it myself. But I remember it was about reptiles. I think it was about reptiles. But anyway, like I said, so they're lawyers. Actually, the running joke is that they're politicians. That they're involved in... who was it? Was it Bush? The Bushes? Bush Sr. and Jr. supposedly were reptiles?
Oh, they're all reptiles.
I know. All politicians are reptiles. I know. But I'm saying, like, specifically the Bush administration, if I recall correctly, was, like, really railed on about being reptiles.
Obama was a reptile because he turned his head slightly to the left one time and his ear may have moved, so it was proof he was 100% reptile.
Wasn't it Nancy Pelosi? Her eyelids blinked the wrong way.
Something like that.
I think that was I think that was Pelosi. But no. The joke is that they're not lawyers. They're politicians. Supposedly, they're very entrenched in the government. And here's the sad thing: they're not invaders trying to take over the planet. That's the big story. It's like, oh, they want to take over the world. No, they want the opposite of that. Actually, they want everything to stay nice and quiet. Because remember, they don't have a world. They can only live by staying on other people's planets. Now, here's the problem with Earth. We're blacklisted. You're not supposed to be here. More so than any other, planet, for example. I wonder how that works, because like the Federation is scared to death of us. And the reptiles are just on the planet like, are you joking? They can't handle being called by the wrong pronoun. Humans ain't shit. The Federation is just like watching up there. Get out of the house! Get out of the damn house! Oh, that was Hillary. Hillary was the one whose eyelids blinked the wrong way. What was the movie with the gray and the man hiding things indoors and a witch had part of his brain?
He was hiding stuff that was part of his brain. I don't know, actually. That's not something...
Mr. Bishop, are you feeling okay? Was that a code? Because I honestly have no clue what the hell you're talking about, dude. But anyway...
I can't picture that movie.
I have no idea. I don't know. Maybe somebody in the chat can help. To be honest, if they just...
Sounds like Harry Potter, actually, but I know he's not talking about Harry Potter.
To be honest, if they just revealed themselves, people would probably think they're cool and accept them. Probably more so if they would eat us less. Yeah? Yeah, Hillary being one makes sense. Like I said, of course, all the politicians you don't like are aliens. Of course. But, again, from what I've heard, the big ones are the Bushes, the Bush familyism. I've heard people say the Clintons. I've heard a lot of different stories about Obama. Just going to point out they don't say that stuff about Trump. Kind of weird.
I know, right?
I've heard some stories say that they bleed weird colors, so that's how you can tell. Make them bleed. So just remember, if you're ever suspicious that someone's a reptile, stab them! Don't do that. No, algorithm, YouTube, I swear to the God I don't believe in, don't you dare ban me for that. It was a bloody joke. Do not stab anyone. Okay? I'd hang out with cool reptile people. Aren't you the one that wanted a cynosyphily boyfriend? I mean, don't get me wrong, cynosyphily were cool. Yeah, well... See, the problem is it's hard to say with the reptiles, because again, supposedly they can't even stop themselves. They lie. Lying for them is like breathing for us. They just do it. You know what I mean? Which makes me kind of feel bad for them. Like maybe there are reptiles who want to just stop hiding, but like they literally can't help themselves. I do not deny this. I don't know about... Well, not a boyfriend. I don't go that way. A cynosyphily girlfriend would be interesting. I mean, that's a lot of teeth, though. I'm kind of scared of that. Anyway. Mr. Bishop says that you watched it, too. You should know what movie he's talking about.
Okay, a movie about the gray and a man hiding things in his house which were parts of his brain. It's not ringing a bell. I know once the name comes out, I'll be like, oh, yeah.
Mr. Bishop, you're not talking about Signs, are you?
See, there's Signs, but he wasn't hiding parts of his brains.
Yeah, he didn't... Yeah, there was something in the brain.
Parts of his brains. Because Signs was the Mel Gibson movie. I actually saw it in theaters with my dad. And the aliens...
It was okay for an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Signs was okay.
It was dark and kind of depressing, but...
See, my problem with Signs is when I watched it, and they got to the part where, like, water burns them. And I was like, Okay, if water burns them, why the hell did they invade a planet that is 75% water?
Let me try to look this movie up because it's like.
Anyway, though. Sean, that movie was called Paul. That was Paul. And I thought it was a funny movie.
Let's see, what?
He said he'll figure it out, don't worry. Yeah, Dad, I remember Grandpa vaguely mentioned V. He talked more about, like, Star Trek and Star Wars with me. But, yeah, Sean, you're thinking of the movie Paul, which is about an alien. Paul was okay. Paul was kind of fun. A bit cynical, which I know people are like, wait, you dislike something cynical? I don't like competition, okay? Anyway, though. But yeah, the reptiles are really hard to talk about because next to nothing is known about them. Because, again, their whole existence is hiding.
Dreamcatcher.
Wasn't that a King movie?
Yes. Okay, yeah. If you're talking about Dreamcatcher, then yeah, the Greys came while they were in the cabin in the snow, and each of the four guys had a specific special power, and one of them had a warehouse inside his head. If that's what you mean by he was hiding parts of his brain. And yeah, the alien got inside his head, and his head was a warehouse, so he specifically burnt certain memories so the alien couldn't get it. But he had to sacrifice his memories to protect others, and yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I know what you're talking about, Dad.
Okay, Dreamcatcher.
Yeah.
See, I've never seen it. Mostly because, pretty much anything with Stephen King burns my eyes. But anyway. He ain't shit. Anyway. But we're getting pretty close to the end, so we're going to wrap it up by talking about one final type of alien. And this is the big one. This is the one that is going to make everybody say I'm batshit crazy. But I'm going to talk about this. This is the ultimate alien conspiracy. This is the theory that is going to piss everybody off and think that I'm batshit crazy. Sitting here surrounded by cursed dolls, dead dogs, and wearing a tinfoil hat on my head. They are really hard to describe because nobody really knows their real name. My grandfather referred to them as the other, or the other guys. And the other, and if you have your tinfoil hats on, hold on to them because they're about to blow off. The other are the source of all evil. And I mean that literally. The other are a parasitic species. I've heard some claim that they're not actually a race, they're a faction. There's like just individuals, because there's so few of them left. There's like a few thousand. But they are so technologically advanced, so powerful, that they actually are crippled. They need their machinery to stay alive. They're basically this tiny little scrunched up creature inside a big life support system. But they are incredibly powerful telepaths. Way more powerful even than the Greys. And more technologically advanced. The problem is that they're dependent on it. Now, supposedly these creatures invaded Earth thousands of years ago. Long, long ago. When the earliest example of humanity existed. This was literally our cradle. They invaded us. And they basically occupied our planet. Because they wanted, wait for it, they wanted copper. Because copper is rare every place else. Copper is common here on Earth. You could dig up copper here in America, just in America, on the planet. Not anywhere else. It is rare outside of our solar system. Why? Random configuration of the universe. Okay? But a lot of people sit there and say, oh, aliens want our gold. They want our platinum. They want silver. No, they don't give a crap about rare metals. Okay, if you're going to go through the trouble of occupying a planet, you're not going to go there for something that makes up less than 1% of its anatomy. You're going to go there for something that's common, that you can get abundance of, like copper. Some people say water is another thing that they want. I've heard people say nickel is also really valuable to them. But either way, the point is, they occupied the planet. The bishop is having a giggling fit, which means I'm scared to see the chat.
They're making fun of our tinfoil hats.
Oh, piss off. You wish you could rock a hat like me. Who is that? That was Sean, wasn't it?
There's a couple.
Anyway, they wanted our
My dad.
they wanted our common minerals because there's more of it. I mean, like, why are you going to go through the effort of, terraforming a planet for something that is, so minuscule in its total mass? Like, seriously, how much copper is there in the Earth's crust versus gold? There's a lot more copper. But anyway, they wanted Earth for the base metals. And basically, what happened is the Federation decided to help us. They could have just blasted, and had a big space battle with the other, sure. But they figured, what good is that? So instead, they wanted to teach humanity. They wanted to help humanity. So they made contact with us. These became the gods. The legendary beings who lived on a Mount Olympus and in Asgard, are heroes like King David, and Heracles and Oxblood. These are stories that snowballed through time, over and over and over again being explained because of the heroics of our oldest ancestors fighting these creatures and getting them to basically get the hell off our rock. But literally everything. It was so important. This battle, this war was so instrumental. All around the globe. This didn't just happen in the Middle East or some stuff. No, this was literally all around the world. And this became our legends, our myths. Every story you've ever heard, whether it's a blockbuster film like Star Wars or an Aesop's Fable, has some snowball effect from this first war. Now, it's not to say that characters like King David didn't exist in real life. No, they did. But the stories we tell of him, his heroics in battle, defeating the giant Goliath, for example, that is a snowball from the first war, the original war. Some people argue it's the only war we've ever fought. The only true war, I should say. But they have constantly been reintroduced to our society over and over again. Because I mentioned the other, and every time I do, everyone's like, I've never heard of that alien. Yes, you have. They were just called the Borg. They were called the Phyrexians. They were called the Galactic Empire.
The Shadows, the Vorlons.
The Vorlons, the Shadow. Exactly. They've been recycled over and over in our cultures because that was so important. And in fact, our entire concept of what is good and what is evil comes from that. They are the evil. They are parasitic. They are destructive. They are cruel. They are tyrannical. Likewise, the Federation have always been there as our heroes. They're Link. They're Luke Skywalker. They're, like I said, Heracles, Oxblood. All these heroes are just based on encounters with the Federation helping us. Which is why some people claim that there's a conspiracy. You ever notice that, how everything needs to be remade nowadays? And all the villains are sympathetic now? Oh, Cruella wasn't an evil person who wanted to just kill puppies. No. No, she was misunderstood. She wasn't bad. She was good. You like Cruella. You want to be like Cruella. And murder puppies. No, they're good. They were good guys. No, Palpatine had a lot of good ideas, to be fair.
Good guy Palpatine provided jobs.
Exactly. He created infrastructure.
Yeah.
For himself.
Meanwhile, that dumb old Luke Skywalker.
Oh, he blew up a Death Star that had a million, drones inside it, basically.
Cried himself to death and then just
literally got tired of everything and just faded away like a coward. He didn't even have the guts to face his nephew. After he attacked his nephew with a phallic object.
Yeah, and that dumb old Han Solo.
Oh my God.
Father.
Yeah, a deadbeat dad. Like, seriously, why would you...
Guy Palpatine.
Oh yeah, no, Palpatine, you totally misunderstand Palpatine. But no, it's a conspiracy. Because here's the thing. We drove the other off. We beat them. We defeated them with the help of the Federation. But remember, it wasn't the Federation doing it for us, because what's the point of just saving somebody when you can teach them to save themselves? What was it Jesus said about the fish? You can give a man a fish and he'll eat that day, but if you teach him to fish, he'll eat every day, or something like that. That was Jesus, wasn't it?
I don't think that was Jesus, but I know the saying you're saying.
That's in the Bible, though, isn't it?
Where does that?
But yeah, no, isn't that a biblical quote? If you give a man a fish, he'll eat that day. If you teach him to fish, he'll eat every day of his life, or something.
Give him a fish and you feed him for a day, teach him a fish. Where is that from?
Yeah, where is that from? I thought it was a quote of Jesus.
According to this, it's from Lao Tzu, the founder of Taoism, Chinese philosopher.
Oh, wow! I was off by about a mile.
Yeah, that's not in the Bible.
Well, I mean, it's a good point. You know, I mean, like, okay, because you ever notice that in like the old pagan stories, it's always a demigod or a half god who's like the great hero. Heracles wasn't a god; he was half god. He was the son of Zeus, but of a mortal woman. Oxblood, who basically is Heracles from North America, he gained godlike strength because he was baptized. Well, not baptized. He was bathed in the blood of an ox. It's all these stories talk about these humans who do these great things, and they have some kind of spiritual help. Well, yeah, because that's how we can understand it. But again, there's a conspiracy to make us forget these stories. Because here's the thing. You know, I remember in the 90s they used to make fun of, they'd have radio call-in shows and stuff like that. You know? But they were like, you should be careful with who you talk to on the phone because you don't know who they are, really. They could be anyone. And then on the internet, it was the same thing. You know, you should be careful in chat rooms and forums because anyone could be anyone. You know? And suddenly we don't say that anymore. You notice that? Remember when you were a kid, everyone was like, be careful on the internet, you know? Anyone could be anything. And now, coincidentally, no one says that anymore. You're never warned about that.
Oh yeah, now you go on the internet and you hire people to pick you up and get in their cars.
Yeah. Remember that? Never trust anyone online, never meet anybody online, and don't get in strangers' cars. Now we use the internet to contact people we don't know to come pick us up. Yeah, but here's the thing. It's by design. And this is the part where everyone's going to be like, Kristoff, are you stoned? No, I'm not stoned. This is a conspiracy. Supposedly, the other have infiltrated social media, and they use fake accounts to discourage you. Because here's the thing. You know how I said that the Federation is so scared of us because we used nuclear bombs on our own people? The other are afraid of us too, but for an oddly different reason. And this is where the hopeless optimist in me comes in. They're afraid of humans because we have a very unique power. Yes, even you listening right now, we have the power to inspire each other and to be inspired. We can rally each other. We support each other. We make each other stronger. We cover each other's weaknesses. The other doesn't have that. They have myopic drones who just march in step with their master's command. We aren't like that. We lift each other up. We support each other. We build on each other. We tap into each other for strength. Fun story. And actually, I'll ask you, Bishop, how did King Arthur pull Excalibur out from the stone? Do you know, like...
He had faith?
You're close. Other
He had-
people had faith in him.
Oh.
They acknowledged him as the king of the Brits.
He had integrity, he had faith. Yeah.
It was the people's faith in him. His friends, the Knights of the Round Table, his people, the Brits, they had faith in him, and because they believed in him, he was able to pull Excalibur from the stone. Because originally he wasn't worthy. He screwed up. No one ever talks about this, by the way. King Arthur got Excalibur from the Lady in the Lake. But he proved unworthy. And so Excalibur left his hand and drove itself into a stone. And it was only because the people put faith in him that he was worthy again to wield it, and he pulled Excalibur back out. It was because of them. And they believed in him because, he was a hero. They were like, well, okay, fine, he screwed up one time and had a bastard son. Okay. That's not good. But let's be fair, it's the medieval ages. Everybody has a bastard son. Okay, can we just stop getting upset about that? You know what I mean? But no. The other have this terrible fear of what we can do when we cooperate, when we work together. They're scared of our bonds of friendship and family, which is why you see this nowadays. It's funny, somebody online actually put it really well. Have you ever heard a millennial or a Zoomer comedian? It's all just complaining about their life or whining about their family. You have so many of these supposedly younger people on social media that are like, well, why would you want to have a family? Why would you want to have a kid? Why would you want to do this? I have student debts. Oh, go yourself. Okay? It's all this attempt to bury us under nihilism and pessimism and what's the other one? The one they hide behind now. Defeatism, surrenderism, whatever the hell. A lot of isms. Anyway, the point is, it's all an attempt to basically numb you and make you not care anymore. Not care about each other, not care about yourself. Like, seriously, I'd probably be dead if I went through Twitter and took a shot every time I saw some pessimistic, whining little brat complaining about something happening in a completely different part of the planet. And that's exactly how they want it. They don't want you to have kids. They don't want you to have friends. They don't want you to go out. Don't go. Why would you want to go out? You could get the COVID. Why you go to a party? No, you don't go to a concert.
I saw something orange in my corner. I don't know if I should be mad or scared.
Right? Exactly. They want you, and that's how they want you. They want you to be torn between being mad and being scared out of your mind. Because they don't want you to tap into that power that you have in you by connecting with other people. They don't want you to live. If you try, they fail. If you give up, they succeed. That's how they want it. And they've been doing this for centuries. They've been trying constantly to be involved with our worlds. Because remember, even before the internet, like I said before, they are extremely powerful telepaths. And what I mean by that is, the Greys can talk to you in your head. In close proximity. They can't, like, from their spaceship talk to you. The other can. Supposedly they have a city on the dark side of the moon. And that's basically their base of operation in our solar system is the moon. And they can actually supposedly reach right down to you and put thoughts in your head. Like I said, a few centuries ago, we called them demons and the devil. or Oni and Rakshasha and things like that, depending on what part of the world you're in, and, evil spirits, because you can't see them. They're in your head. Some people claim my mentor, H.P. Lovecraft was a victim of them. Because he would claim to have horrible night terrors, where he would see things like what he described as Cthulhu or the crawling chaos. Some people claim the other were trying to reach out to him, but his troubled mind somehow reversed it. And instead of them putting thoughts into his head, he saw them. He saw what they look like. And his mind interpreted all their wires and stuff as tentacles. And that's where because you ever notice that? Everything Lovecraftian has tentacles. Tons of tentacles, like for no apparent reason or motivation. Well, some people say that those were wires that he saw. The wires that connect these creatures to their basically life-sustaining machinery. Because again, they're so technologically advanced that their bodies have decayed. They need their machines to live. And that's why they have such an affiliation with technology. Because, to be fair, they are probably the most advanced species in the galaxy. It's tragic that they used all that advancement to become the ultimate parasite. Like I said, there's countless examples. I don't know if this is in the Bible, but isn't there something like someone claims the devil whispers to them, "You cannot weather the storms," or something like that? I know it's an expression, but I'm not sure if it's in the Bible. But I've heard the story, the devil tells you can't weather the storm.
That's not...
I don't think it is. I'm not sure. I know it's a thing with the devil.
Wait, what's the saying?
The devil whispered into my ear, "You are not strong enough to weather the storm," or "You're not strong enough to weather the storm."
There's stuff similar to that. I'm not sure about that exact quote. The devil whispered in my ear, "You're not strong enough to withstand the storm." I whispered back, "I am the storm." According to this, it's Adharan Finn, the rise of the Ultra Runners, a journey to the edge of human endurance.
Huh.
That's just the first thing that popped up.
Okay. That's just, yeah, no, Troy's like, no, that's not in the Bible. It's just a really cool motivational quote.
Yeah, it's not... yeah, it's by... Adharan Finn. F-I-N-N. Adharan Finn. Adharan and Finn.
I love how in the chat, Mr. Bishop and Troy are just like popping off with religious quotes and stuff. But see, here's the funny thing: you're not wrong. People sit there and joke like, "You don't believe in God." No, but I do believe in the thing that inspired the stories of God. And me personally, I'm just gonna say it. I still like this Jesus guy. I think he was probably based off... I think the stories are based off of aliens, but I still like his philosophy. I still think he's a cool character. I agree with him a lot of the time. Still don't get why he's so mad about figs. But anyway. But like I said, they constantly are trying to bury people in doubts, in uncertainty, in hopelessness, in nihilism. Again, does this sound familiar? It should, because literally every flavor of evil, everything that we as a species have claimed is a villain or a monster or just evil in general, is based off of our first encounter with these things. Now again, it's not one-to-one, obviously, but it's a snowball. It's that same story being told. Good versus evil, the selfish and the selfless. The heroic and the craven, the cruel and the kind. You can call it whatever you want. You can call him Jesus. You could call him the Doctor for all I freaking care. You can call him the Ghostbusters for crying out loud. It's, at its core, good and evil. Helping others, helping even yourself, or hurting others and hurting yourself. Now, what's funny is... I wanted to wrap this up with kind of a fingerprint, proof that the other have been trying to influence our society. Yes, I have it. I have proof. Well, I had proof. It doesn't exist anymore, thankfully. Which, by the way, we can just celebrate that real quick. We'll celebrate that at the end. They were called... What the hell just happened? Anyway, they were called the Georgia Guidestones. Now, some people call these the commandments of Satan or the commandments of the Antichrist. They were big stone slabs that had weird inscriptions on them that were a list of 10 rules to rebuild society in the event of an apocalypse. Now, real quick, I want to say, was it 22 that they were attacked?
21 or 22.
21, 22. Somebody bombed them, and they swore they were going to rebuild them. They were going to re-erect this horrible monument to evil. And funny enough, they got struck down. They didn't. They ended up actually selling the plot of land, and the owner has said, "No, I'm not putting up this. I'm not putting that crap back up." But no, these were 10 rules that supposedly, I think that's the funniest part about it, because like for the longest time they were like, "What? No, this isn't alternative motive. This is just like common sense things."
This is beautiful art. How dare you question it?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I have a personal long line in my ancestry of people who stood up against evil, so I have no qualms in saying that the Georgia Guidestones are better off as rubble. And I don't know who you are, dude in a white truck that did it, but cheers. Be mad, Illuminati. Be mad. But anyway, the Guidestones were evil. And I actually have the list written down of what they said. Number 1, humanity will never number more than 500 million. Now, I'm sure there's some cynics out there like, wait, what? That sounds like a good thing. There's too many people. 500 million is 500 million. If you were to only have 500 million people on this planet, you would basically have the population of Canada and the United States. And actually, there'd be too many of that. You'd need to kill people there, too. Because America alone, the United States alone is like 300?
350, yeah.
300, 350, somewhere in that ballpark. Yeah, so you'd have most of the people in Canada and the United States. That's it. No. By the way, real quick, genetically speaking, from a biological standpoint, 500 million is actually not that healthy of a population for something that breeds like humans do. Yeah, people don't realize that. It takes a lot of individuals in a gene pool to keep a gene pool healthy.
Especially for humans, yeah.
Yeah, because of the way we breed. Yeah, I mean, look at the history of English rulership. Look how many degenerates and sick... No, I don't mean like degenerate like they were douchebags. I mean literally. People with like mutations and abnormalities and sick children and things. Like seriously.
It'd be like the Habsburgs and things like that.
Yeah. And hell, look how many... just within British royal family, look how many infant deaths there were throughout history. Because they were so selective in their breeding, they kept it in the family, and you could see the results. 500 million is not a healthy population. Unless you're an outsider who wants to keep control of the planet. 500 million people is easy to control. Would be easy compared to the 7.5 billion in the world.
500 million people wouldn't even really make up an army to fight some extragalactic force.
Yeah, you couldn't even fight all over the world with that. I mean, hell, look at... how big is the U.S. Army?
Just under 1 million, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
Let me look that up.
Isn't it like 2% of the U.S. population is military or something like that?
Like fighting or just in general? 1.4 million active military personnel in 2022.
Okay,
So
yeah.
that's active military. So
Yeah.
you probably got...
And look, and we can't even like really, assert military control over a single region like Afghanistan or something. You want to fight a war across the entire planet with 500 million people? That would not work. If 1.4 million can't control something like Afghanistan, what the hell are you going to do with the rest of the world?
According to this, China has 2 million armies. See, I don't know if they're saying army or military, because military and army are two different things.
Yeah. But my point is that right off the bat, the Guidestone's number one rule is monstrous. Because, like, how do you achieve that number? You know what I mean? Like, let's pretend for a second we just snap our fingers and we're going to live by these Guidestones. Okay, what are you going to do with the 7 billion people on the planet that are too much?
Available for military service, about 15 million. Active personnel, 1,328,000. Reserve personnel, 799,000.
Yeah.
So roughly we have 2.5 million
Total.
with 15 million available, which that seems low.
Yeah.
But yeah.
My point stands is like, no, this whole keep the population under 500 million, yeah, because that'd be easy to control. That would be easy to conquer. Let me see here. What was number 2? Number 2 was also stupid as hell.
See, and that was 15 million, 18 to 25. That's not even counting like the three of us.
Yeah.
Like if something invaded the country, or
Yeah, I mean,
there'd be millions.
yeah. Rule number 2: guide reproduction for fitness and diversity. Mr. Bishop, would you like to explain to our wonderful audience what eugenics is? I'm sorry, that is literally eugenics. And we all agreed a long time ago that that is wrong. Let me see. Number 3, unite humanity with one living language. Okay, 1, what the hell does that even mean? And 2, hold on here. And also, we don't need a universal language, okay? Look, you can just push 2 to get Spanish. It's not a big deal, okay? But no, I don't understand that language. What is a living language? Are we supposed to do the Frankenstein speech every time we talk to each other? It's alive! I'm sorry. Rule passion, faith, and tradition with reason. That's number 4. I'm just going to say it, and this isn't meant as a dig. I'm just going to say it. Passion and faith are literally the absence of reason. That's why it's faith. That's why it's passion, is because it's not reasonable. You know what I mean? I mean, hell, it's not reasonable to think that reading an inscription and burning a candle is going to do anything. But that's why it's called faith. That's why it's called a prayer or a spell. It annoys the crap out of me when people try and say that. Like, you need to be more reasonable. That's not what faith is. And whether I agree with that particular faith or not, that's not the point. Faith is in its own way a beautiful thing. So, no, you don't need to guide faith or passion with reason. I literally, that's the end of the discussion there. Number 5, protect all people and all nations with fair laws and just courts. Okay.
That's a contradiction to the first one.
That is.
Unless every nation has like 10 people.
Yeah. And on top of that, on paper, I like that one. Because, well, yeah, I want just courts. Yeah, I want fair laws. Here's the question, though. Who's deciding what's fair? Who's deciding what's just? Hell, remember, not last week, the week before, when we were talking about mad scientists? And I said that Dr. Ishii Shihiro, while he was clearly insane, he was not evil. And everybody in the chat and the bishop looked at me like they were ready to punch me in the face. Who's right there? What's just there? Because I think I was just when I said that. I'm willing to bet the people in the chat, disagree with me. The world isn't that simple, that there can just be a right and wrong. Unless, of course, everybody thinks the exact same thing and there is no opinion. For the record, real quick, just in case anyone forgot, I did say that yes, the things Dr. Ishii did was evil. I just say he was not a man without his own honor. He was insane. He was not a monster. He wasn't evil like Stalin or Hitler. He just did monstrous things. But that's my point, is like, who's deciding what is fair? You know what I mean? That's my problem with that one. Plus, yes, it contradicts the first rule, because how do you have a fair and just society when you have to whittle society down to just 500 million people? Let's see if there's... By the way, real quick, going back to that, and you might be able to help me with this. There are 7.5 billion people on the planet. If you only had 500 million, that'd be like what, 1/14 of the population, something like that?
Yeah, it'd be really low.
Yeah, that's a whole lot of people that you just have to fairly and justly make not be there anymore.
And of course the rich elites and the people who want depopulation, who should be the first to sacrifice and volunteer themselves. Of course they won't.
That's the thing
It's
that...
always going to be somebody else, doesn't it?
That's the thing that annoys me. Is like, I hate being here. I'm not endorsing it, but I will say there's 1,000 ways to exit.
I hate being here. There should be less people. Well, I won't go myself. I need to be everybody else.
I'm not endorsing it. I'm just explaining, if life is really that bad, there's 1,000 ways. I'm just saying. I want to say for the record, I personally don't think that life is not worth living. And real quick, I'm going to stop talking about the Guidestones for a minute to address this, because this is something that kind of pisses me off, actually. People talk about, well, you're an atheist, so you don't value life. No. I would actually argue that I value life more than a lot of spiritual people. Because here's the thing. From a purely objective standpoint, even if you believe in aliens, there are totally aliens, by the way. Even if you believe in them, we have observed billions of planets just in our galaxy, not even in the universe itself. And there's, at best, signs that maybe 1 in 1,000 of those planets can sustain life. Life, be it ever so hard, be it ever so ugly, be it ever so difficult, is the rarest thing in the universe. Which, by our standards as humans, makes it the most valuable. The rarer something is, the more valuable it becomes. You could even go on to into the microscopic level. Every single living creature is, in a sense, a unique thing. There is no other Bishop. There is no other Kristoff. I mean, there might be other people with my name, but you know what I mean. There's no other me. When I die, and yeah, someday I will, when I die, the net sum of Kristoff in the universe will hit 0. The same with every other life. So no, life is the single most valuable thing in the galaxy. Regardless of where it came from. Fine, bibbidi-bobbidi-boo, God made life. Okay, cool. It's still, objectively, the rarest thing we've ever encountered, which makes it the most valuable thing we've ever encountered. Regardless of how it came about. The fact that it's here is where its value comes from. So for the record, that's something that always pissed me off. That, people assume I don't care. That I don't care about life. And it kind of digs at me because I've actually struggled with sociopathic tendencies. I've struggled with not caring. With not having emotional feedback. So it's something that always bugged me. And it's kind of why the Guidestones piss me off so much. It's like, whoever made these things is truly monstrous. Okay, fine. Let's take the tinfoil hats off for a second. Maybe it was written by some douchebaggy billionaire jagoff who, just wants the rest of the world to die because he wants more room for his turbo mansions or something. Fine, whatever. That is still pure evil. It is truly heinous. And that's coming from the guy who stood up and defended Dr. Ishihiro. So you know it's got to be bad if I'm saying it. But anyway. But yeah, that's number We're at 5. Yeah, 5. I'm going to calm down now by reading more from these tablets that infuriate me. But then again, I've heard people joke like, you need to get angry more. You need to get fired up more. Come on, it's fun when you get mad and you go on rants and stuff. Personally, I don't know. I've never been a big fan of the ranting YouTube video. I prefer civil discussion. I prefer talking, you know? But anyway, number 6. Let all nations rule themselves, but have a world court for interactions with each other. You know, I actually almost like that one.
See, these last two, like, I just want to comment on. It's like...
You can, if you want to say something, you can. You're not going to offend me. I'm just sitting here defending, freaking a eugenics doctor. Like, I don't think you're going to say anything worse than what I've said. But no, it's like, well, okay, let every nation govern itself. Sure. With what? It's like 12 people? You have 500 million population around the world. How many people are there going to be to govern in the first damn place? You know what I mean? Plus, again, I have to go back to the question of, okay, who's in authority?
Hold on. Let me do some math here.
Okay.
Oh, you can keep talking.
Yeah. See, that's my problem with number 6 is like, okay, but who are you putting in power here? Because you're the same people who said that, the population should only be 500 million. I don't know if I trust you to be the government or to appoint the government. You know what I mean?
Okay, so according to this, there are 195 countries on our planet.
Yes.
500 million is 500,000. Or 500
million. So 500 million divided by 995. Or 195, excuse me.
195.
I'm dyslexic. Leave me alone.
So that's 2.5 million per country.
2.5 million per country.
Now...
Geez, that's not even like... The population of New York is more than that, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's nothing. What's the population of Colorado?
I was going to... Hold on.
2.5 million people per country.
Okay. According to this, the population of Colorado is 5.8 million in 2021.
Which was when the last census was taken.
That's less than the population of this state.
Yeah. That's like...
And you gotta
that's more than half. You would have less than half of the current population if you went by their ruling.
Now let's should I take out Russia and Taiwan, 2 countries we particularly don't care about if you ask the elite? Because that would make the number go up if we don't count those as countries.
See, I would argue that they are sovereign countries, though.
I would too.
I don't agree with everything that's come out of their countries, but I like Jeff. I respect Jeff. He scares the crap out of me, but I respect him and I like him. I probably wouldn't go down a dark alleyway with him.
Yeah, that's 2.5 million people per country. That's not sustainable populations.
It's not. I mean, look, I'm all for less traffic, but I think we're being a bit ridiculous. But anyway, number 7. And this one, I read it, and I actually just... the irony of this one is so palpable. Are you ready for number 7? Avoid petty laws and useless officials.
See, Troy has a good point. Yeah, it was the one world order.
Yeah, the one world order, the Illuminati. They've called themselves 1,000 different things.
Yeah, but anyway, sorry, I interrupted you.
But no, I kind of I'm going to do this one time. I'm going to give the devil their due this one time here. I will applaud the sheer gall that these douchebags had to make a commandment about avoiding petty laws and useless officials. So we should avoid the Georgia Guidestones.
Yes.
I'm just saying, it takes guts when you're writing a bunch of BS evil laws, and then one of those laws is avoid BS laws. So I will give them that one note of credit. at the very least, I kind of admire the sheer irony that they had to say that. Where was I? 7, avoid petty. Yeah. Number 8. And this is one every red-blooded American is just going to respond with a middle finger. You must balance personal rights with your social duty. How about you go yourself? No, I am not responsible innately to my government. I am responsible to my friends and my family. Them, I have duties to. I don't have duty to the state of Colorado.
Turn over your guns. Don't stick it to the man.
Comply.
Sheep.
Comply. Yeah, it's like, no, I'm sorry. I'm an individualist. The personal right far exceeds social duty, because social will turn on you. In fact,
my social duty is to vote and help you guys and make sure this neighborhood's safe if anything happens. But they don't.
I'm going to quote my grandfather, actually. Screw your social, you asshole. That was his go-to insult, was asshole. Everyone jokes about old men call people bastards and stuff. No, he liked asshole. Asshole was his go-to insult. He would actually sit and watch like political news, like Fox or CNN, and he would literally just sit there. You asshole. Oh, shut up, you asshole. And one time I literally asked, what's an asshole? And my mother just descends like a harpy from Greek mythology and smacks me upside the back of my head and says, you know better than to repeat after him. And he's sitting there pointing and laughing because he got me to get hit. That was his favorite prank in the world, was to trick me into cursing. I can guarantee my mother's in the chat like, I never did that. I remember, because that was his favorite joke to play on me, was to trick me into saying curse words.
Doesn't that contradict? Because isn't an American social duty to the country, isn't that a bad thing now, to love your country?
Yeah, that is kind of a contradiction.
According to the people who like the Georgia Guidestones.
I have a friend who's British who said that a true British man loves his beer, loves his home, hates his government. That's a true British man.
Sounds like an American.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we came from them. And there is something to be said about universal good, right? But anyway, number 9, and this one just makes me feel weird, like, what? Prize truth, beauty, love, and bond with the infinite. Once again, what the hell does that have to... What is that even?
Any religion except Judaism or Christianity.
Basically, right?
We tolerate everything except those two religions.
Yeah.
That's basically what they mean.
Pretty much. I was going to say, like, who... Can you define... First of all, can you define truth? Because the people who built the Georgia Guidestones literally don't even know when you use a pronoun correctly in, like, basic sentence structure. Same with beauty and love. Hell, most of them just throw their hands in the air and say, well, there's just one love. It's like, no, love is very complicated. There are lots of different ways to love someone. And some of them can actually be kind of creepy. But no, that one just... like even the structure of the sentence is just like, what the hell are you talking about? But this last one, this one takes the cake. This one is as bad as number 1, I think, actually. Be not a cancer upon the earth. Leave room for nature. Bitch, I am nature. I exist organically. I was not made out of a forge or something. I am nature. You are nature. This chair is nature. Everything around us is, in a sense, nature, because it's all stuff that was made from nature. Even plastic. I know people talk about plastic. Plastic is a thing we find in nature. Okay, it is not purely made by some Frankensteinian scientist or something. What the hell does that even mean? Leave room for nature. We are nature. And how do you decide if someone is a cancer upon the earth? Like, again, these are the same people that are telling you what they can define, that they can define what truth, beauty, and love are. And then they're telling you to not be cancer. It's like, well, what is cancer? What is truth? You're saying that we need to kill 7 billion of the population. That doesn't sound like truth. That doesn't sound like just. And you're going to tell me that I'm a cancer? But you know what? It's okay. Hold on, because I can tell, I can feel that there's a lot of negative energy building up around this. And here's the thing. That's exactly what the stones were made for. They are literally built with the other's dream in mind of nihilism, of tearing us down as people. And guess what? We tore those bitches down. I don't usually endorse vandalism or vigilantism, but I will say this one time, I'm going to give a pass one time here. Couldn't have happened to a nicer monument. Just saying. I mean, I was on the floor when I heard that it was destroyed completely. I mean, it was, what will we do without this nihilistic pile of complete and utter philosophical crap? Yeah, I said it. Big to it. There's like MIB just like coming, not because I'm exposing anything, but literally because I'm hurting their feelings. What the hell happened? Damn it. Guys, learn to take a joke. For crying out loud. I also I can see the camera now, and I realize that like Hissenberg is perfectly lined up so that Rosadoo has a skull face. Mm-hmm. And that's actually kind of cool. But like I said, the Guidestones are the template of the other.
They're the Sith Force Nexus from Star Wars.
Basically.
They cause...
Yeah, it's just this funnel of negativity.
Yeah.
Of anger, of frustration, of fear. And here's the thing, it's by design. Because again, the Sith... Again, I'm not saying that like Lucas personally met aliens or shit. I'm saying that our societies, our cultures, even ones that claim are wildly different. Here's where I'm going to piss off the internet. Wiccans, Christians, at their core, they have this very similar core values. Because those values were inherited by our ancestors who told the stories of the First War. The idea of sacrifice, of compassion, of nurturing, of individualism. These are all things that, yep, supposedly they're so important in Christianity, supposedly they're so important in Wicca, they're so supposedly important in Muslim, in paganism, in atheism. Gee, it's almost as if all this stuff is just rolling downhill from our ancestors. And it's the same goddamn story being told over and over again in ways that we can accept and ways that are helpful to us. Because here's the thing, I can make jokes all day about religious people. Here's the truth of the matter. People find strength in these stories. That's why it pisses me off when people say, oh, it's just a movie, dude. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's just a story. No, it's not. There is power in it. There is power in those lessons, in those memories. Because again, it all goes back to what is our superpower? What is the great thing about humans? It's that we can bond. It's that we can inspire each other, that we can lift each other up. And that's what scares the other so bad. Because think about this for a second. On sheer power of bonding, on sheer power of standing beside each other, with sticks, rocks, and maybe some bronze weapons, we kicked their bitch asses off the moon and banished them. We banished them to the moon like fucking Rita Repulsa. Which must have been really awkward, after 10,000 years who are you assholes? Actually, that would be the coolest freaking video. That'd be the funniest thing ever. I loved Rita. She was so funny. I guess to be fair, she was kind of a dumb villain. To be fair, she wasn't that bad, but she was so fun. She was hilarious. I loved the actress. I wish I could know her. I wish I knew her name. God. The American Rita Repulsa. Because to be fair,
the original.
The Japanese one was cool too, but most of what we know, most of what we know of Rita Repulsa from the Power Rangers was actually her. Yeah. Because again, the original Japanese show was actually very different. But even then, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, it's another example of good against evil.
So King Mondo is probably the most evil, at least in the original.
Wasn't that
Machine
Rita's
Empire?
dad? No, the Machine.
No.
That's right. Yeah, the Machine Empire. The ones who actually exiled Rita.
Yeah, Rita's dad was Master Vile.
Master Vi. Yeah, he had the weird snake head
Yeah.
on his. Yeah.
Skulls.
I don't know if that was like a headdress or what, but
As a kid, I always thought it was a pillow.
he just had a
Like,
pillow.
it's a weird pillow.
Convenient pillow. Any place is comfortable when you have the pillow crown. But anyway, my point is again, but no. If you again, I mean this dead serious. If you ever feel like you're worthless or pathetic, just remember that there are aliens monitoring our planet right now because you scare them shitless. They're either afraid of how feral and savage and psychotic you are, or they're terrified that with a little motivation, you can be just as heroic as King David, or as Heracles, or even modern legends like John Henry. John Henry supposedly had superhuman strength. He was just a man.
Well,
He was just a man that had people supporting him. He was just a man that was fighting for something.
That brings up the question: we as humans, we stand together and we band together when we need to. Do they not? Is that why they're?
Not to the same way that we do. Not to the same degree that we do.
Because when push comes to shove, we as humans, we band together and we
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah. And we
So
talk
is that
about
why
like,
they're-
see, again, it's the best I can tell you is it's different when humans do it. We take it to a whole other level. It's kind of like okay, this is going to sound like a really arbitrary example, but this is actually one I've heard. It's kind of like how the Saiyans. A Saiyan is powerful, but then he can become a Super Saiyan, and he goes on to a whole different level.
Oh yeah, Frieza had to wipe them all out because they were so strong.
Because he was deep down, he was scared of him. His father was scared of them. Yep.
That's a good analogy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not to say that other races can't band together, but again, it's like for us, it's a different thing. We don't just band together; we make each other stronger. We actually are better. We bring out the best in each other. We inspire each other. Even long dead. Friggin' hell! What was the famous war cry in the Mexico-American War? Remember the Alamo?
Remember the Alamo? Yeah.
Yeah, that was Mexico-America, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember the Alamo. You shout that, and suddenly there's a whole bunch of Yanks that are ready to kick your butt across the Rio Grande. Which, by the way, what the hell does Rio mean? Because it's grand is like big in Spanish, isn't it? Like grande is big. So what does the Rio mean? River? Oh, so it's the big river. That makes sense. Holy cow, we have gone way, way over tonight.
Yeah, Big River. Big Iron.
I'm reading through the comments real quick here.
It's funny because I looked it up and I seen it in Minute River. It's like, I knew that. Why did I look it up?
Open eyes. He's dyslexic? I get him. Yeah, like now you couldn't understand me before. But like I said, that's the other. They are literally the source of evil. Every villain, every monster, every demon is a memory passed down to us through history, through our stories of what they are and what they can do. So I'm going to wrap this up, though, because this is going to be our longest episode. Which is funny, because I figured this would be our shortest. I really did. But, yeah. So, if you only take one thing away from this, just remember, don't give in to those negative thoughts. Because at your very worst, you still scare the crap out of a bunch of aliens. You savage, heroic bastards. But we'll see you next week. Because we're going to be busy as hell, aren't we? Mm-hmm. We're going to the Denver Curiosity and Oddities Expo on the 7th. We'll hopefully get you some pictures, and maybe the Vagrant will actually make an appearance again for once. But yeah, the next episode we're gonna lighten it up a little. I'm sitting here talking about battles with aliens and good versus evil and stuff. Let's lighten up the mood. You want to lighten up the mood, guys? You want to have some fun? Ugh, that did not feel good. Anyway, you want to have some fun, guys? You want to laugh? Don't we make you laugh? Well, because we're gonna be talking about one of the most iconic aspects of Halloween, one of the most popular in recent times. Carnivals and clowns. Yeah. No, I'm not going to wear makeup. The bishop might.
That might.
We need a picture of the Vagrant at Wendy's? I don't get the joke. Is that a reference to something, Open Eyes? Because I don't get the joke. Because everyone thinks he's a Wendigo? He's not a bloody Wendigo! For crying out, God damn it! Wendigos do not have deer skull faces. That is a modern art depiction thing. It has nothing to do with the original legends. Someday we're going to have to talk about Wendigos and just sort that shit out. Because I remember we mentioned them, but we didn't really talk about them. Anyway, though, next week we'll be back. Hopefully you all are too. We'll be talking about clowns and freak shows, the origin of the freak show. That's going to be fun.
I'll have some video for you from the convention. We're going Saturday. Kristoff, myself.
Shut up, Sean.
Cobalt's Corner and Jesus, we're all four going down to the convention center downtown Denver.
Yep. Jeebus will be there, assuming that he can get out of the time vortex and he didn't go back to West Virginia. I swear, it's like the more you tell him don't do it, you turn your back and he just starts running that general direction.
I'll have some cool videos and pictures for y'all.
Yeah. But in the meantime...
Oh, your brother commented.
Yeah, I saw that, you little prick. In the meantime...
Maybe I will wear clown paint next time so nobody sees my uggo face.
Oh, shut up. I only said it because I knew you were going to make the joke anyway. Anyway, I am Kristoff N. Chester. These are, of course, my wonderful familiars. Gluttony, Famine, Rosadoo, the Haunted Doll, Hissenberg, who you guys named, by the way. Don't blame me. Choopy's over here with... Where'd the goats go? Anyway, I am sure that there wasn't just a massacre over in the corner. Anyway, this has been From One Side to the Other. And always remember, guys, they only win if you don't try. And keep checking the shadows.